Dogs are crazy. You tired yet? What a beautiful morning for my last vlog of 2021, or at least covering the kidding season. Penny was my last doe to kids, so I thought I'd show you all the kids. They're pretty grown now. And then, while I'm here, I thought I'd show you what I'm looking for in udders. I know most of the people that watch my vlog are family and they don't care about this, but that's just too bad because this is for my own documentation, so I'm going to show you a few things, kind of what I'm looking for, who I think is most promising this year, and things like that. Well, first, this is Penny, and apparently she didn't have preg tox. It was a pinched nerve because it went on for like a month after she kidded, like exactly a month. On May 7th, I finally started noticing she was getting better. It would get better and get worse and get better and get worse. And it was like on May 7th I finally started noticing that she was staying well and that her rump was starting to level out and things like that. Because whatever it was making her stand with her leg super straight and her rump really steep. And her rump's still pretty steep, and they'll do that, you know, just for a while after they kid, but the leg thing is pretty much straightened out and the rump is certainly a lot leveler. So apparently she's not in that pain that she was. Hi. She's kind of a naughty girl. She likes to kick and things when I'm milking. So one of the things I don't look at with first fresheners is their forudder. I mean, I kind of notice it. If it's really good, then I'm happy, but if it's not good, I'm not unhappy because this will change a lot as she grows, and especially as she has all this extra skin here, that'll fill out and fill in that hole right there. She'll start carrying more milk up here in the next couple of years, and that'll fill in. So she's my best doe this year, maybe of all my does. We'll see how she continues in the next couple years. But she's really nicely attached along the top, and she's just really nicely shaped, really nice sized teeth, and easy to milk. Don't stand forward like that, it makes you look not well attached. She looks better attached if she doesn't put her legs back so far. Here we go. Lassie is Penny's twin sister, and she's crazy. After she kidded, she gave 5 quarts of colostrum, and normal for any doe is a quart, maybe 2, and especially a yearling, she was just crazy, and she's continued that. She gives about 7 pounds twice a day, and the only other one that gives that much is Pavi, and Pavi's a better milker than Eclipse and Bluebell. They don't. They're 4 and 5 years old and they don't even give as much as this little yearling does. I was a little worried about how she was going to hold up as far as her body condition. She's a little bit thin, but she's holding up really well so far. We'll see if that continues. So Penny's the prettier of the two, but Lassie is the working girl of the two. So just from this angle, she has a really good udder. You want to see a third in the back, a third in the front, which she doesn't quite have yet, and then you kind of figure a third is behind the leg. But like Penny, she's got this here. It's even bigger than Penny's. But also like Penny, she's got all this loose skin to fill out in the next couple years, so I'm not worried about that. I'll just give her a couple years to mature and see how much that goes away. Because this is pretty big. She's the biggest of the does I have right now. And part of that is, on any doe, the more full you get her udder, the more likely this is going to be to show up. And then on young does, they almost all have this. So combine her getting so full with being so young, and hers is really big. So we'll just see how that fixes in the next couple years. The one thing I don't like about her, which doesn't really impact her milking, she's still just fine to milk, but her teats are small compared to how huge her udder is, which kind of just looks more dumb than anything because she's still easy to milk. You can see she doesn't have that nice U-shape arch. She kind of has more V-shaped, if you kind of follow this hairline. And that's just she doesn't have as good of attachments. And this is just pretty much par for the course with these goats that produce a lot, is their udder isn't as pretty as the ones that don't produce a lot. So you have to weigh it. You know, do you want one that's a little more useful and just isn't as pretty? Or do you want the pretty one that doesn't give much milk? I think there's pros and cons of both of them, and I'm going to keep both. But her udder is not bad at all. You know, when you think about bad udders, you think like dragging on the ground and things like that. I mean, she's fully functional. She's fine. And she should remain that way, but you know, just a little prettier is what people are looking for, including me. They just look nicer if they're better attached and things like that. Her teats are also kind of on the outside and angle out a little bit. This will change a little bit as she grows. This line right here will deepen and that'll pull the teats in. See if I can kind of simulate it. So you can see if I pull this in, the teats come in. So this is another thing about yearlings, is if you give them time to develop this line on their own a bit more, it'll pull these teats in. They're still further out than they should be, but you know, she's easy to milk, so it don't really bother me too much. This is Pavi. Pavi wonders why I'm not milking her. These older does, they won't start eating until you start milking them. So I'm going to lock her in so she doesn't back out on me. Usually I don't need to lock her in, but... Oh, I almost had it. Okay. So Pavi has a really nice forudder. She gets that from Eclipse. You can't really get up in there. It's just nice and smooth. And she's a 2-year-old second freshener, so she wasn't as good last year, and this filled in, like I said, and those other does will. So she carries, if I put her leg where it belongs, she carries most of her milk in the back. She has a smooth forudder, but she doesn't have a long forudder. So Pavi has a really nice arch to her, but her attachments actually aren't tight all the way across, and I thought those came together, but now I'm finding they don't. You can kind of see she looks really V-shaped, because all of a sudden she goes up into here. Because she doesn't have as tight of attachments around this edge as she should. And her teats are out on the sides, and that's not really going to change. But it's not really a problem. So for her, I would just like her, I like the shape, I like everything about it, but it just needs to be tighter. Eclipse is another doe that doesn't like to start eating until I start milking. So Eclipse, I didn't really shave her this year, I guess, not yet. Anyway, she has a really long, smooth forudder. You could see better how long it was if I shaved her leg, so you could see where her leg was. So her leg is right here, and her forudder is way up here. So that's always nice. So Eclipse is really well attached, and the funny thing is, if I shave her, she looks like she's not. She looks really weird. So I usually just I just trim up this long hair, but leave this unshaved. So she's pretty much got the udder I'm looking for. Almost. She's got a really nice arch, and is she 4 or 5 this year? And this is still looking really nice. Really nice, tight, attached. And pretty good teat placement. They're a little bit on the outside. That's more common than having them more in where they belong. And she's not going to change because she's an older doe. She's not super old, but anyway, she's pretty much mature. So pretty much the only thing I would change on her is bigger. She doesn't give enough milk. And with that bigger it would be wider. And then she would look even better across the arch there. So this is Bluebell, and let me first say I do not keep her for her udder. So if we're going to start up here like we have been, I don't have her shaved either, so her forudder is not terrible right now because she's not very full, but she doesn't really have a forudder, just goes straight up, crashes into her belly, so there's no shelf. You can see her udder just looks like a potato sack compared to the other ones. Kind of bulges here and there and just hangs there. Now she does look better if she's more full. I think when she was gone and when we'd sold her, she's only getting milked like every other day, and it really stretched out and hurt her udder. So if I let her fill for 24 hours, she'll look better, and I'll insert a picture here of that from last year. But still, you know, she doesn't have that great of an udder. If she had a better udder, it wouldn't look like this no matter how full she was. Unlike the other ones you've seen, she does not have a nice arch. And it's actually a little bit hard to see in the camera because her hair is blending in with the hair on her udder. But basically she goes, move your tail. Basically her line goes from here to here, where if it was a good arch it would go more up like this. And then her attachments are just all loose. And you can't even see her teats because they're on the sides and they stick out. So the theory behind these teats being bad is then the end of this teat is rubbing on her leg, and obviously the leg's covered with bacteria, so that's potentially introducing all kinds of bacteria directly into the udder. So that's why you don't want that. I keep Bluebell around for a couple of reasons. The first one is she's really pretty. She's my most correct doe in the body. She's got the body, Eclipse has the udders. I need to combine the two lines, which I plan on doing this year with Penny's buck. So yeah, that, and she still gives 5 pounds out of this lumpy old udder. And she gets no grain. And she's a chub. Maybe I'll show you maybe you saw from the back how chubby she is. Anyway, she's a chub, milking 10 pounds a day on hay only. No grain. See, I take her pan off. And she's just drama-free. She's really nice. She comes from Desi's line. She's Desi's grandkid. And just a really nice, calm doe. So that's why I keep her around. And her udder is functional. It's not like hanging to the ground, you know? So it's not that terrible. There's just definitely tons of room for improvement. I'm hoping across her with the right buck we'll be able to do that. Before I go over to the other barn and show you the kids, I would just like to say I think our worked. So Penny was my... Hey. So Penny was my last doty kid. And up until then I didn't have any more dead kids with the treated does. Oops, I wasn't supposed to say what it was. But Mom had 2 more does kid, and they didn't have dead kids last year, so you'd think if they were going to be affected they would be this year. And they did not have dead kids. So I'm thinking it worked. I'm not sure what that means going forward. If we're going to have to treat every doe, every pregnant doe. Or I'm thinking we could maybe test the does that didn't have dead kids, you know, maybe in January or something, and if they don't have the antibodies then we'd want to treat them, but the test isn't all that cheap, so I'm not sure what we're going to want to do. I said in one of my last vlogs that it was frustrating trying to look up anything online about toxoplasmosis in goats because everything was just copy and pasted from one article. Well, and they had nothing for treatment or prevention or anything. Well, Mom got me a sheep and goat handbook for my birthday, and on page 3 it says about toxoplasmosis, abortion in sheep and goats, and what to do about it, which is give coccidia medicated feed, grain, the last several weeks before kidding. So it was just, I guess, frustrating to me that no one online could say anything like that, and then you buy this book by this sheep vet and there it is. Right away, and he has it in 3 different spots. I guess the good thing is that does tell us there is something we can do about it. So I think rather than giving the feed, it would make more sense for us to just treat like we did, because we just have, you know, I think for him it's, you got several hundred ewes, you're not going to go around individually treating everyone. So for us that's not going to be a problem, and I'd rather do that than use medicated feed. So I'm thinking that's probably what we'll do, is dose them all a few weeks before they kid. I'm just really not quite sure. We'll just have to decide, I guess. These are Bluebell's twins, and their DNA came back to the same sire. His name is Abraham. You have Chrissy and Alice. I'll probably sell one of them, but I haven't decided which one yet. This is Claire's doe kid. Claire had a buck and a doe. We just sold the buck last night. This one's name is Jane. This is a kid I bought. Her mom is a half-sister to Marion, if any of you remember who Marion was. Her name is Josie. That's Pavi's, one of Pavi's doe kids. Flora is her name, Florentine. This is Eclipse's buck kid. I was going to keep him, but now seeing Pavi, he's a full brother to Pavi. His name is Johnny. But now seeing Pavi's pasterns get worse and worse, I'm rethinking keeping him. This is Pavi's other doe kid. Her name is, I don't know, it was gonna be Meringue. Get off. Making too much noise. It's gonna be Meringue, but that inside that didn't fit her, which is kind of funny because Pavlova was gonna be Meringue at one time too. So, I don't know what her name is. I'm kind of calling her Prim right now. Just as her barn name. I don't know what her registered name is going to be. Stop fighting! Goodness! This is Penny's buck kid. She had 2 bucks. I sold the one. He doesn't have a name at all. I haven't even thought of anything for him yet. So my plan is to cross him on Bluebell's daughters, to get my Eclipse and Bluebell lines together, and maybe even cross them on Bluebell, but that's kind of up in the air because Bluebell is so huge, and I usually AI all my older does anyway and just live breed my young ones. So we did a field necropsy on her, and all her intestines were really inflamed, and then that combined with the symptoms of when she died, it looks like it was enterotoxemia, which is caused by a clostridial bug. So those bugs are in goats just all the time, and they're not good bugs like probiotics. They're bad, but they're in them. And when she gets a lot more feed than they're used to getting, or a different kind of feed, those bugs will reproduce like mad and go crazy and over all the extra feed. And then when that extra feed doesn't keep coming, then all the extra bug population dies off, and those toxins from all them dying little critters poison the goat. So I think that's what happened with her. She got too much milk. The rest of them were a little bit off, not really wanting to eat. A couple of them had the runs. So I treated everyone, and they seem okay now. I think I'm going to end this here since kidding season is over, and now it just gets into the boring stuff of raising kids and things like that. So, probably back next year. Thanks for watching. Want to say goodbye, Clark? One thing I was going to mention is, I always said I don't want ads on my videos. I'm not going to monetize my channel, regardless how big it gets, because I hate ads. You're watching a video and the stupid ad pops in. The worst I was gonna do was possibly sponsor, because I've seen the ways people can sneak those in pretty quietly and they're not really a bother, you know, just at the end of the video or whatever. But I did not want to do ads. I still don't want to do ads. I just got an email from YouTube and they changed their terms of service. So now they will, starting June 1st, they will be putting ads on any video they want, regardless whether or not the channel is monetized. So by the time you see this, I'll probably have ads on my videos. And that's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I don't know, I've never looked into monetization or anything anyway, so I don't know like how many subscribers you need, that sort of thing. But if they're gonna make us watch the ads anyway, I might as well monetize my channel. So I'll have to see what goes into that. Not really sure, but I apologize for the ads. It's not me doing them.